and welcome to the first episode of VAFA Tragics. So we asked you and you told us you wanted a panel chat show for the new season of 2015 in the VAFA, and the VAFA season got off to the best possible start with the VAFA representative side defeating the Northern Football League. My name's Andrew Leonard. As I welcome the rest of the panel, Ewan McRae, first of all, you were there for the game against the Northern Football League. It was a great win for the VAFA, one that you didn't see coming.
Well, that's right. I think for most of the game, I think most people in the crowd thought that the Northern Football League were going to run away with it, and I'm still not sure. I'm still scratching my head how they got away with it, but they clawed their way back and a good win in the end.
Marty Kelleher, you've been watching VAFA representative football for a while. We've never played the Northern Football League, but you would have been proud seeing that result.
Very much so, Andrew. I think it's a great result too. It validates what we actually do across the whole competition.
Michael Fitzgerald, great to have your company as well. You love the big V jumper and always have. You've got a few gripes about the way the jumper is at the moment, but nevertheless it was a good result for the VAFA.
Well, indeed, the V should be bigger, but I think the result was a massive result given the flow of the game, and it shows again that when the chips are down, our boys play together better than people from most other competitions.
It was a fantastic result, low scoring affair in the end, 7-7-49 the VAFA over the Northern Football League, 5-14-44, goal kickers for the VAFA. Old Scotch's Jack Bull was the only multiple goal kicker on the ground with two. Bede Mann from Uni Blacks, Matt Hanley from Old Zaverians, Adam Pitt from Uni Blacks, Adam Bentic from St Bernards and Harry Croft from Collegians were the other goal kickers. Magnificent result which sees the VAFA retain the AFL Victoria Metro Championships #1 ranking. Some questions raised coming out of the game though. How much longer can the series continue, particularly I think with the way that the promotion and relegation system works amongst those teams. Of course the VAFA, if it was to continue again next year, would play the Eastern Football League, who we defeated 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it needs a revamp. It's an awkward time of year to play. A lot of players would prefer not to play, but nonetheless the opportunity to wear the big V jumper is a prize always to be cherished. But if, for instance, the AFL Victoria went to a situation where the champions were there, ready to play mid-season, so 2016, we would have the VAFA ready to go against the winner of the pre-season tournament, which would include the top 4 leagues, obviously not the champions, and obviously not the team that loses the third game. I think that would work better, and I think there'd be more support for it.
Have you got a feeling on this at all, Marty?
No, I agree. I agree with Fitz. I think across the players as well, that they're looking forward to reconnecting with their club. They want to get out and play practice matches at this time of the year. But I also think that I agree. I think that there is more that people, supporters, players would embrace more a mid-season game. I think we do need to actually see that the #1 ranking is either A, protected, or there's a reward for finishing on top. We've been on top now with the 2 matches. Let's see who the next challenger is. I mean, as you say, it'd be quite farcical if Saturday's result we had have lost, because then we dropped from being the top seed to number 3.
Ewan, have you got a feeling about what the other competitions feel about playing pre-season at all?
Yeah, I think I know a lot of the leagues that have a lot more money involved. I suppose they're a little bit more worried about their players getting injured, and they're paying top dollar for a lot of their players. I think it's important to keep the representative concept going. I think it's growing in a lot of the leagues. They're starting to get a bit of a feel for it, and I guess it's something that VAFA takes for granted because they've been doing it for so long that I think it'd be good to grow that and let the other leagues experience that and see what it's like, because it's one of the best things about the VAFA, I think. Just
quickly on the game itself, the VAFA had no right really to win the game. They only took the lead in the last 5 minutes of the match. How did you see the game unfolding?
Oh, yeah, you're right. They really didn't have any right to win it, but I think the cream really rose to the top when it counted. Best on ground, Tinney really stood up when it counted. His teammate at Old Trinity, Yezi, he really stood up. And the 2 guys from the Blacks as well, that kicked those crucial goals in the last quarter, Mann and Pitt. I'm not sure what it was at the start. They just seemed a little bit flat-footed, and the Northern boys I think they've had a long campaign building up to this. They really shot out of the blocks and I think shocked a few of the VAFA boys, and I mean they did really well to fight back in it, and full credit to the VAFA for being on top when it counted.
We're going to take a look at some of the ins and outs at the clubs. We've been through the top, or the Premier Section clubs, and we had a bit of a look, and you'll see the graphics come up on the screen as we go through each of these clubs. It's hard to know at this stage of the year though, isn't it guys, when we don't know, not all transfers are closed, and some clubs play tactics, don't they, in terms of when they put their transfers in You think you've got one? Marty, you've obviously spent a bit of time doing that sort of thing at De La Salle.
Very much, yes. Yeah, very much.
Beaumaris is a club we don't know a lot about, and I mean the query there is are guys that we've put here in their top 5, like Waylon Manson and Raf Clark, are they going to front up again for the Sharks? According to the current transfers list, no ins and outs to speak of that are of significant nature here. We're talking about your real top shelf here, and we've taken sort of the top 5 from each of the clubs. So they're a difficult one to get a finger on, and I think when we look at our combined ladder of where we see how the clubs will finish in Premier Section, Beaumaris, probably as a result of not knowing a lot about them, featured down towards the bottom end. De La Salle, on the other hand, a couple of big names that were touted, I guess, before Christmas with Tom Murphy, I think was on the front page of the De La Salle website, coming back to the club. Xavier, his brother's going to be there as well, and Sammy Haslam comes in, which is a real strength adding for De La.
Again, what it does is, yeah, you're right, and there are a number of other players coming through, a few more players from the under-19s, just to create a little bit of depth. So what that will actually do is hopefully that will create competition for spots. Along with Jack Vickers too is another name that could be mentioned there. So that just adds the spread where we can now release the pressure on players like Fieldson, Sam Williams, Gotch and Lowe.
I know, you stuck the first wee in of the year there, Marty. It's good to hear the first wee. It's just creeping out there. Collegians again, not too many names. I guess Corey Cassidy going out to the Eastern Football League. That's one that got away from them. Fergus Watts, I noticed, has been training there and has been playing a few games. Of course, a leading goal kicker for Collegians back in the day in A section, and the former Uni Blues coach, came back and played a few games a season and a half ago. He's back going to be wearing the Lions jumper this year. Any comment?
Well, it's an interesting call, isn't it? I think most of us thought that Fergus had probably seen his best days, only due to the injury problems that he's had. But no doubt a fit Fergus Watts is really going to straighten Collegians up. And last year it was very much Shura Taft who kept Collegians in a lot of games, and to have a fit Fergus Watts up front is certainly a real bonus for the Lions.
There's a big if though there, isn't there?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see, but you would think so.
Old Carey, one of the promoted sides, they bounced back with Uni Blues last season. Everyone recognises their best players are right up there amongst the best in the competition. As we see, they're regularly selected for state honours. Tom Roach is the one that drops out of that top 5. He went to Bourne in the Eastern Football League, but they will see a guy like Julian Rowe, who's a former representative player, come back into the side as well. So I think that's almost a like for like in that sense.
Yeah, and I think Luke Crozier coming back will give them something. I think he was certainly a member of the last under-23 Carnival Championship team. Really good player. I think he might have been All-Australian full-back. Dimitri Demokopoulos has come in from St Francis Xavier. Not a very good player, twice a medalist, I think, with St Francis Xavier, and he'll certainly give Carey a bit of bite around the packs.
Question about Carey, always their depth and how low they deep if they do get a few injuries to some of those key players. Old Scotch, again, they've had some key outs. When you look at their best players, Mark Passador goes to and picks up the clipboard, so we don't think he'll be pulling on the boots. Richard Evers no longer going to be at the club, as is Shane Nees and Rob Ferraro, who all go out of that midfield half back line. That's some key outs there, but they do get the services of James Strauss and Michael Evans, who both come from via the Demons, I guess, on their football journey.
Yeah, I think anyone that's coming in with AFL experience, regardless of how few they've played, I think these guys have spent a long time in the system, so they're always going to be valuable local players at whatever club they go to, but you're right, some key outs. Passador won games off his own boot last year, and he'll certainly be missed up forward.
The men of mystery, I would have thought, Old Scotch. We don't know which Old Scotch will turn up. Will they be an outstanding side that 3 years ago played finals? Or will they be
they played finals 3 years in a row.
Straight sets each time.
Or will they be the side that will bumble their way around? And that's not critical, it's just we don't know which Scotch will turn up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Evers a loss and Neves was a loss, but he didn't play the full year last year, did he? He was injured. Ferraro was very much in and out the last couple of years, a very good player on his day. And Passador certainly had some good games, but balanced that, I think, with some time on the bench where he couldn't get up. So I'm not sure about their losses, how badly that's going to affect their season overall. The Inns, 2 guys from Melbourne, well, a lot of AFL players come in and find it a little bit more difficult than they perhaps anticipated. And given, I'm not saying it's easy to get on an AFL list, but a lot of a lot of these boys are drafted at a very young age, and you know, we've all, having watched a lot of amateur footy, have all cast our opinions on, well, we think this player out here is better than this bloke. So we'll wait and see how good they are.
Agreed.
Old Trinity are an interesting one as well. They were such a brilliant side early in the season last year, and then they won games late to make a final charge towards the final. All off the back of having a home-built side, really. They're all out of the school system, and it seems to be the same way that they're going this time round. The only question is whether how many games Anthony Scott, who was such a revelation last year for them on a wing, will play for the club. He's doing some VFL training, I think, with Collingwood. I'm not sure who it might be with. But it might be Richmond, in fact.
And is Tinny out as well?
No, Tinny's going to be in. Tinny will be playing. He played in the rep game on the weekend and won the best on-ground medal. So, Old Trinity, it's an interesting one. Can they improve? They had such a young side last year. How much will they improve on what they did and what they almost pushed for a final spot last year?
Almost unbeatable in their home patch last year as well. They turned that into a real fortress. I think if they can maintain that and, you know, pick up a few away games, who knows? We might be seeing them in finals.
The talking point of the season might be about Old Zaverians. It certainly was in the off-season with the exodus of some of their key players in Chris Waller, Murphy Ambrose and Brendan Goss, all going to the Eastern Football League. On any given day, if they're all on the park and fit, they're in your best 5 players at Old Zaverians. But we're having a look there. Esmond Prowse, of course, won the best and fairest there. The rumours continue to abound that Luke Ball will pull on the boots, but there's question marks about Old Zavs.
Yes, I think losing those players is a blow, but nonetheless, Murphy Ambrose didn't play a lot last year. Goss didn't play a lot last year. And I think whilst their presence will be missed, Zavs just missed the 4 last year. In a rebuilding year, I think it'll be another year of finding out exactly what they've got out there. Luke Ball, I'm not aware of his indications replaying, so I think that might be a bit premature there, Andrew.
Oh, he's training is what I've heard. There's rumours going around.
Well, there are plenty of rumours, and I guess that's what this show's about, is rumours. But
well, squash it.
Well, I honestly don't know.
Has he trained?
I'm not close enough to things out there.
Has he trained?
Oh yeah, I believe he has trained.
Okay, well, there we go. He's trained. That's exactly what I said. So it's not rumours, it's true.
And I think Billy Denton, who's the new president of the Old Zavs,
he's trained.
who played 202 games, I think he's also trained. So I'm not sure that Bill's going to pull on the boats.
Fair enough.
He is a bit older than Luke, apparently.
But there's plenty of kids coming through from the 19s.
There's a good set from the under-19s, massive numbers, and Zavs certainly will be deep. They might lack a bit of the star quality of previous years, but there are a lot of guys there that
still March.
Still March.
You can never write off the Zavs.
Now, I love that comment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You could have said that 30 years ago about D-Lake. You can never write off D-Lake. They made finals 13 years in a row. Things do go in cycles. I mean, I just think that some big losses there, and I think that, you know, it's another year with Matt. Another year, he's another year older. Do you have a second forward to help take another big defender?
Oh, I think Zavs will find a second, third, maybe fourth forward before the season's out that will enable the workload to be shared a little bit.
Very good. Moving on to St Bernard's. They were out in straight sets last year for much of the season going head-to-head with the Uni Blacks, but Adam Campbell was one of their recruits that came through in the pre-season. You heard someone else as well?
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but another former AFL listed player with Essendon and Richmond from memory. But speaking of Anthony Rock a couple of weeks ago, I think they've had that's really burnt. I think that straight sets exit last year, having become so close, I think there's a real desire for them to really push up there and have another red hot crack this year.
It's hard to see them falling back to the pack, I think, at this stage.
And good numbers. They won the under-19 Premier.
Yeah, a couple of those guys look like they're going to push up into the senior side.
They were very strong in the 19s, and they were an older age group, so some of those boys could certainly play senior football.
Yeah, I think we've all got St Bernard's up there amongst it towards the end of the year. Uni Blacks, the reigning premiers, the first Premier Section Premiership in 40 years last year, but they changed coaches after Cam Roberts only was there at the helm for 1 year. Jason Blake, I guess, who became a Premiership defender at last with Blacks last year, drops out of the side. Who comes in, we're not quite sure. Again, a lot of these kids coming from the country and always with the university sides, it's so difficult to know who's going to be a star, just like Tyson Cruz was last year when he came in and dominated the competition. Hard to know on where Blacks will be, but given that they haven't lost too many, I don't think, they should be thereabouts again.
I think they've kept most of their big bodies as well, and I think that was the thing that really stood them apart last year, was the tallness of their forward line and their key position players. And I mean, apart from Blake, I think they've kept most of those, so they'll be a force again.
Good depth too. They won the reserves.
Yeah,
very strong. So
the history tells us though it's quite difficult to win 2 in a row. It hasn't happened. Well, it happened 2009-10 with Zavs, and before that it was 10.
Collegians as well.
yeah.
So
12.
collegiate.
11, 12.
So apart from that,
The last one 2 in a row. No, I think it is difficult to back up, and but I think Blacks will be there and thereabouts, and it's pretty hard to leave them out of calculations.
Great.
Uni Blues are the one I just can't wait to see this year how they go about it. They did a dominant performance in Premier B last year, won the grand final comfortably. Most of their best players have all been training at the VFL sides this year. But look at these ins: Dan Nicholson, who we know, of course, AFL experience. Ross Young also with AFL experience, but what a star of the competition he's been every time he's played in it. And a couple of Gold Coast players there who played a few games with them. Jeremy Taylor and Piers Flanagan also transferred into Blues. They could be formidable.
I think they took it as a bit of a slap in the face to go down to Premier B 2 years ago for last season. Like they had a point to prove to get straight back up into Premier, and if they can keep that fire going, I think there's no reason why they can't be right up there again in Premier section.
Looking at the ladder, so we all did our ladders pre-show, and that graphic up on screen now you'll see is the combined ladder of all of our estimates, and we've all got some Bernards on top when you take it out of the equation. This is just the ladder at the end of round 18. Bo Morris and Old Carey, the two that we all think will struggle. I think that was unanimous across the board that they were going to be in the bottom rungs. Old Scotch and Old Zaverians, the ones that could be in trouble there as well at the bottom end. So anything you take out of that ladder?
Well, when I did my ladder earlier today, I mean, I found it a very difficult exercise. We've seen, and as was the case 2 years ago when Uni Blues were relegated, I mean, they were capable of beating top 4 teams on their day and just didn't, and thus went down. But it's very difficult to pick. I don't think there's going to be much between top and bottom. Quite frankly, we all know that Carey's quality, top players, magnificent. Bowie have something. They get out to strong starts every year. If they do that again, they might hang in there for the season.
They pitch 4 out of their first 6. They're away. Your season's up and running, and if you're 1 and 5, it makes it very hard. And Zav's discovered that last year.
Yeah, and really, I look at that and I say, well, I can't write any team off from a chance at the 4 or the chance of the top half. So
I agree. I think it's a bit of a raffle.
Yeah.
I think that, despite when you look at this list, anybody between 3 and 8, 3 and 9, could in actual fact be playing in September.
It's so difficult. I had Old Trinity as morals to make the finals when I thought about it before I started doing the ladder, and then you look at it and think, well, Collegians, they made it with such a young side, and they're only going to get better as well. And they've made it through to a grand final and are so well versed in that finals experience in September time at Sports Cover Arena in particular. University Blues, I just think they were just so awesome in Premier B last year, and I expect that to continue going into Premier.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most even competitions in metropolitan football, really. Premier section is, anyone can win it and anyone could lose it. So, as Uni Blues found out, and Zav's reigning premiers missing the finals, so anything can happen.
Let's quickly go through the other sections to get a preview, and we'll try and pick the premiers here and go through, and we'll see how we go as we get towards the end of the season. Fitzy in Premier B.
Well, I think St Kevin's. I saw them on the weekend, and they were fairly impressive. They had 29 players out or something, but still managed to beat Old Zavs. But they look, I knew they promised a lot in Marches gone by, and September will be the key.
That's the acid test, isn't it? 10 years of finals in B.
Yeah, that's right.
So
they're ready.
They've lost 9 finals in a row, if we want to put an actual number on it. So
no, look, I must admit, I've got St Kevin's as well. D-Lar played them in a practice match 2 weeks ago, and I thought that St Kevin's were terrific. I thought they were really well organised, really well drilled, and as you and I have made note, Fitz, they're actually bigger. They're bigger and stronger, and that may in actual fact be the only downfall they've got, is that they may be too big.
We're unanimous in Premier B with St Kevin's. Ewan, who are you going for in Premier C?
I've gone for Marcelin. I think they've shown enough in the last year or so. I think they played pretty well last year. I must admit I don't watch a huge amount of Premier C, but I think they look good.
Another side that's had finals issues in recent years. I think they're up to 5 finals losses in a row now at the Eagles' nest there on Bulleen Road. So we've all also gone for Marcelin, looking at the numbers there.
Well, I think Marcelin. I suppose if you don't know much in-depth knowledge, Marcelin's always a good fallback pick because they're playing below where most of us have seen him play in previous
and where we believe that they should be.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's also where they believe they should be too. I mean, if we talked about Uni Blues,
yeah,
they were stinging about being relegated because they see themselves as a Premier A club. Well, I think that Marcelin should be in exactly the same boat. They should be stinging at that they're in C, given that 10 years ago they won within 15 years they won an A-grade premiership.
2001 I think it was their last Premier section or A-section premiership as it was then, with that unbelievable midfield of Waters, Cox and Deneen that was running around at the time. Division 1, this is where we get our differences happening here in Division 1. So I've gone for North Old Boys St Pats, who I think were finalists there last year. Ewan?
I've gone for Q. I think they've been there before. They've done it the last 2 years now. I know it's a big ask to earn promotion 3 years in a row, but I think they've proven a lot of people wrong, and they've really gone well the last couple of years. So there's no reason why they can't get that finals recipe right again.
Yeah, I've gone for Q as well. I think when you're on a roll, you're on a roll, and I think the good clubs on their way through, and we've seen it in recent years with other clubs. You strike while the iron's hot, and I think they'll be a very good unit again this year and press for the flag.
Whereas I've gone for Ormond, and I know they were relegated, but I have gone for Ormond because on the back of some good under-19s coming through, a much stronger junior club where they're not losing them to the private schools as much now, but the kids are coming through. I thought their under-19s were very good. I know they played in South and were runner-up. However, I just think with those boys, with new coaches on board, I think that, again, there's another club that would be stinging at sitting in D1.
Of course, in Division 2, there are 3 clubs going for triple back-to-back premierships. Northern Blues is one of those who make it up to Division 2, their highest ever section. I've gone for them in Division 2 to win. I think they're one of those clubs that they're probably going to find their level eventually, and I don't think they've necessarily found it yet, so they'll keep aspiring to go higher.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone for St John's, but I don't see any reason why the Northern Blues couldn't do it either.
Yeah, I think that's right, isn't it? I mean, Northern Blues, once again, their beliefs there. They don't know how high they are, how high they can go, and I think that's always a real advantage coming into a footy season, as we saw with St Bede's Mentone Tigers in 2008, when I know that Luke Beveridge just told the guys, well, why put limits on the season? Let's go out and give it a crack, and they won the flag.
No, you're right. I mean, look, that said, I've gone for St John's. Why? They just missed out on finals last year, but agreed.
Yeah, good club. I've gone for them too, but Northern Blues are going to be tough to toss, I would have thought.
Division 3 is a really interesting one. It was a final 6 last year, and Mayor St Leonard's lost to Northern Blues in a prelim final by a point. Fitzy, I noticed you've gone for them to try and pinch it after they got relegated 2 seasons ago back to this level, so they've certainly got the ability to go to the next level.
Well, I think they have, and they're probably a little bit lower than where they ought to be. I think they're a good chance, and of course, any club named the Animals, I think is you want to see them playing high.
There's some great nicknames in the VAFA. Marty, you've gone for Aquinas. Russell Barnes there at his 6th club, coaching in his 2nd season.
Eventually, he'll get it right, won't he? He'll find the right club for him, and I think Aquinas, again, they're in that growth area, and I realise it's tough out in the outer eastern suburbs with the Eastern Footy League there, but I think if they can get the mix right with the players, they played finals the last couple of years out there, if I'm correct. Again, that experience, they should, now is the time. If they're going to make the jump, they need to do it now. They've got kids coming through.
Division 4's where all 3 of us have gone for Canterbury, and just one outright has gone for Point Cook. Marty, that's you. It would be great. It would be great to see Canterbury, so Point Cook rather, win a flag.
And I think that was one of the reasons why I looked at them. I remember when they first joined the competition, they had an under-18 side. D-Lar took its second under-19 side out to play them in a practice match, and it was great to be able to have that opportunity to welcome him in. I'd love to see them do well. I think that given we're the broadest based competition across Melbourne, it'd be terrific if we could actually get some momentum out there, get them to come up. They've been in the comp now three years. It'd be terrific.
5 years now. This is their fifth season. Yeah.
Well, it'd be terrific if they could come up. I think that would actually be a really good message for the comp. I mean, we've seen Williamstown has improved, and they've come up, so they're moving in the right direction. Why not the next Western team to come through?
That's how we see it in the sections. To see how we go, we'll find out as the season progresses, of course. Time now to try something new on, well, everything's going to be new, of course, on VAFA or VAFA Tragics, as is our debut show. But Marty, thanks to Tabilk. It's time for our wine of the week, and you're going to kick us off. What's your wine of the week?
So the wine of the week,
besides being a Tabilk Shiraz.
Besides being a Tabilk Shiraz, which is available for all clubs, but my wine of the week is the rise of the assistant coach.
Okay.
We have clubs where they may have 6 or 7 people standing there holding magnets, shouting, pointing directions and telling players what to do, all wearing the right top. But do those clubs and do those people realise the most valuable person is, have you got someone manning the scoreboard? Have you got someone doing the interchange? Have you got someone putting the goalpost padding up? They're the jobs that are probably more required around a football club than someone telling a half-forward flank where to run when you've already got a coach.
Fair enough. We might just leave it at that. Very, very nice. So, any other parting shots at all? Fitzy, a little and you want to have a go at the big V jumper?
No, well, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, I think in my experience, the V is slipping further and further down the jumper, and with all these other logos going under the jumper, it looks as though the big V is going to be on the front of the shorts rather than and so I'd like to see it lifted up to the old time level. I think we've got down here at Elsternwick, we've got a lot of photographs of state teams, and I think there is an appropriate level beneath which the big V shouldn't sink.
That's a good note to finish on, and particularly considering the Big V won their match against the Northern Football League on Saturday. Round 1 is not far away. Hope you all have a safe and happy Easter. Hope you get plenty of chocolate. And for those players, you stay away from the chocolate, because round 1, April 11, coming soon. We'll see you there. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.